Hello world, Keon Shaga here. Got a review of the campaign for Gears 5. Gears 5, that's a name that is fittingly a castrated version of its former self. But Gears 5 is an amazing tech demo that does so many things right that the things it doesn't do right doesn't make much sense to me. It's like everyone had a different vision or final plan. I do still enjoy the campaign. Throughout this review, keep that in mind. I like this campaign, but I feel like when I do replay it solo on the hardest difficulty, which I do feel like I can do with my skill level, but when I feel like the replay is gonna happen, I'm not really looking forward to the parts I didn't like. But let's get into those, you know? As soon as the campaign starts, you're treated to a recap video that covers the events of Gears of War 4, The Force Awakens. This is great because if you haven't played the 4th Gears campaign, now you don't need to. I appreciate the developer coalition doing that. They deserve a lot of praise for that. Good coalition. This time, the story centers around Kate. Unlike her male counterpart, JD Phoenix, Kate is given a strong internal and external conflict that humanizes her and makes the journey she embarks on feel like something she wants to do, not just something she has to do to move the plot forward. She's a strong female protagonist, and I'm sure the masses of social media will be showering the coalition with praise for decades to come for accomplishing something that even Lucasfilm failed to do. Lucasfilm failed to do. And while Jay-Z is a less interesting character than the very first decapitated Carmine, he too has been given some depth that actually surprised me. He's still not as awesome as his father, Marcus mouthwashes with raw effing minerals Phoenix, but he can definitely get there given enough time. Although DJ is a major character in the story, for the majority of the campaign, Kate is accompanied by R2-D2 and Del, not Cole. Not Cole is actually pretty refreshing. While Cole's loud, obnoxious, and borderline stereotypical personality did bring me plenty of enjoyment, there are moments in his history where I feel like the developers could have handled him a little bit better. The intercom scene from Gears of War 2 comes to mind.
We must bury their infection here. The world is rightfully ours.
Delta Squad is in your house, bitch! You hear that shit? Your grubby ass bitches are going down! Like way down! Dead down! So down you ain't gonna even know which way is up! Your ass is gonna be crying till your skink ass queen! Oh, mommy, don't let the bad man hurt us! Fuck you! We gonna whoop your mama's ass! Whoa!
Now, by comparison, Del seems far more human than Coltrane. He's actually got a pretty neat character quirk that makes him endearing and does set him apart from the other meatheads that have accompanied the protagonist throughout this game's franchise history. But my favorite character in the stories is easily Marcus Phoenix. Baird is still around, and I do enjoy Baird. He's as sarcastic as ever, but Marcus feels like the only one between the two of them that's actually matured in any way. The man has experienced and dealt with great personal loss both on and off the battlefield. So much of what he says and does throughout the story reflects this without it ever outright telling you. That's pretty cool that the coalition was able to pull that off. I think longtime fans will appreciate that. But he doesn't really accompany you much. The person that does accompany you besides not Cole is Jack, also known as R2-D2. R2-D2 is a fun robot character with some very expressive animations. The coalition hasn't quite reached Pixar's Wall-E levels of animation, but they were trying to surpass that. That much is clear. They didn't do it, but I think the fact that they attempted it is worthy of praise by itself. But he's human controlled, which is awesome. It brings not only a new layer of strategy to the game, but it allows for you to have 3-player split screen on both the Xbox and PC. Thank effing Jesus Christ. But I only played him in a single player mode, and in single player mode you just kind of point him at things and ask him to do stuff for you. Even then though, he was pretty cool. You it adds a new layer to Gears, and now you gotta use him for new strategies, make things interesting, set up some nice combos, and some of the combos are really nice. In fact, there's a few that are just so effective that it makes the rest not really useful, and it kind of leads to this problem that we'll talk about a little bit later on. But the ability to respect his abilities, reassociate the points wherever you want multiple times, actually infinitely throughout the game, is very handy, and I appreciate that it's in the game. The one major gripe with it though is that you can't really budget your points. You gotta take them all out and then redistribute it. You can't just empty one section out and then allocate the rest. Coalition, I am an adult, I can't do budget. But anyways, his abilities, while gnarly, different, and numerous, they have a problem that the Coalition has infected this game with that I'll cover a little bit more in depth later on. But besides R2-D2, the only other major addition to the gameplay is the skiff, and this vehicle is the main source of travel in some very open levels of gameplay. It's fun to mess with for about a minute or two, and it does restore the ammo of up to 2 additional weapons for you and your team, but it leads to some problems that we will have to let's go about this. We'll pick up with the skiff later. So there's a medium-sized problem with Gears 5 that I noticed early on, and I was hoping it would get better as the game progressed, but it just got worse and bigger as the game went on. This game has too many damn options. Up until this point, I never fully understood the stereotype about women being indecisive about where they want to eat. But to all the stereotypical women out there who don't know where they want to eat right now, I get it. See, in shooting games, to me, weapons are meals and ammo is the servings, and Gears has too many of both. My playthrough was a second hardest difficulty solo run, and I was able to find a variant and combination of weapons that I liked early on and keep it throughout the rest of the game. Now, me as a highly efficient player, I'm also kind of a dumbass. I hoard the crap out of finite resources. You ain't gonna see me using no ethers anytime soon, just forget about it. But there's absolutely no shortage of ammo in this game. So remember the skiff? I told you we'd get back to that bitch. Well, this supportive ass bitch was able to reload the ammo for these weapons that I preferred between mission points. And even without the skiff, ammo crates are littering everywhere. The blue crates are for bullet weapons, usually cog weapons. There's a few locust bullet weapons, and just bullet weapons, and the red ones I believe are for explosives. But either way, they're everywhere and they're numerous. I already told you I'm only using resources I have a lot of. The ones that I have left of, I'm more frugal with. But I get the feeling that a lot of these resources were supposed to be better hidden, but I was casually exploring the nooks and crannies of the game, and I was never short of ammo. Sorry about that. The only real difficulty came from enemy patterns that I had to die at a few times just to figure out the best way to take them out. Off the top of my head, there was only one boss throughout the campaign, and took a few times to get rid of it, but it's not really anything new or exciting. They're just bringing back stuff in the campaign from previous campaigns. The lack of pressure from ammo conservation meant I could go all out when I wanted to, which I did do a few times, and it felt good, but it took me a while to realize that I could do that with minimal repercussions. And let's be frank here, I ain't starting at the second highest difficulty just to experience an all-out slaughter throughout the entirety of the game. I wanted to be forced to play smart, but whatever. But the abundance of choice meant I had my 3 favorite weapons early on and never felt the need to branch off from those. I would occasionally switch off the weapons to force myself to have fun, but I feel like I'm doing the designer's job for them when I do that. I get that I could have just played the way they designed it, but there's not many hints on how they even wanted it to be played, and this really isn't a problem with other Gears games. The whack-a-mole combat style of Gears of War was kept in check by ammo shortages. requiring either better shooting or risky pushing up with a shotgun to get the drop on enemies. But this campaign is different from those other campaigns. I pretty much sniped my way through the entirety of this campaign, and even without a sniper rifle, all the automatic weapons now perform headshots, so enemies don't even go down but out anymore. They could just go out straight. So if you're a headshot junkie like myself, PC Master Race, this is also a problem very similar that Metal Gear 5 had. Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm sorry. You know, the game had a lot of options, but only a few of them were sexy. The rest were just like, okay, why would I do that? Why would I sabotage myself in that way? This game had a lot of fluff, and unless some of you share it, it can be a bit overwhelming. I'm sorry, unless you have someone to play it with, it's kind of a lot, you know, too much for yourself. And that, bringing back all the choice, we're gonna go back to R2. R2 has too many possible combinations, but really only a handful of them are useful. Like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna see a lot of similar skills specs between players. Hopefully the data will come out on that soon, because that'd be interesting to see. New powers and enhancements to his abilities do make previous abilities more interesting later on in the game, but like most RPG menus, this only seems to be done so it slows down the player. It's a lot of padding and it sucks. For as much shit as people talk about it, Mass Effect 2's inventory system I feel would be perfect for Gears 5. You just kind of pick the skill set you want to use in that game, and you pick the weapons that best support that skill set. It's the perfect combination. It'd be awesome to see that implemented in the next Gears game, because again, I don't have a problem with R2-D2's abilities. I just have a problem with how many there are. Like, there doesn't need to be this many. But you know, they're learning, and it's the Gears 5 campaign is definitely a step up from Gears 4. But speaking of padding, the game definitely feels larger and longer, giggity, than it needs to be. Gears 5 campaign feels like a 3-hour game stretched to about 9 hours. These levels are clearly there to just keep players from running through the campaign too fast. Their cutscenes do look effing gorgeous, like somehow more film-like than Uncharted 4, especially in the special effects department. Like, if you were, I know that sounds silly to say, but you gotta see the cutscenes to know what I'm talking about. Like, Gears 5 feels like it has more special effects going on than Uncharted 4. But even more impressive is that they look fine running on my GTX 970. That bitch is like 4 or 5 years old now. There's a few side missions and even some weapons hidden around the map that I enjoyed finding, but the whole time I was thinking, do these locations really need to be this far from each other? There was one offensive case where the start to one mission was at one side of the map, the second part of the mission was on the opposite side of the map, and then the final part of the mission was where the beginning part was. So I had to cross the map twice just to do this mission. There was nothing in between that, just skiff riding, and skiff riding on its own sucks. I need some tension, some drama out there. Do some Mad Max Fury Road bullshit. Send some enemies at me, shit. That needs to be like a difficulty update for real though. Just add some enemy skiffs and make the NPC characters on your skiff useful for once, or allow them to drive and allow you to shoot. Just make it fun, shit. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm rambling now. I'm gonna wrap this up. The gameplay in Gears 5 is still pretty much Gears. Strategy still doesn't seem to be a huge factor in combat, and the new ideas don't quite feel like they changed the direction of the franchise's gameplay. Like, if you were to go back 3 games or 4 games even, you would still feel the same. Like, no, not 4 games, because there's a lot of shit that happened in Gears 2 and Gears 4. But yeah, if you weren't fond of the combat before, you won't like it. But if you did like the combat before, then you'll like this. It's not going to change either person's mind. The story has so much in common though with the first one in terms of the slight horror vibe they were putting out, and I do like that. I love that actually. It's horror, but it's also a lot more colorful than the first one, but it still, attains the slight horror vibe. You can never be full out horror in Gears, that's just ridiculous. But the journey is very enjoyable for Kate and her friends. There are some moments I assume were meant to be surprising for people, but as someone who keeps up with the Gears of War lore, I felt like the characters on screen were way more shocked than I was. I do look forward to the likely conclusion of Kate's story, especially since this conclusion to this game seem to be cut rather short. Thank you all for watching. I enjoy doing these reviews. I didn't mean for this one to be as long as it was, but I started typing and I meant to do an outline and I just started vomiting on the page. But if you liked what you saw, please tell the YouTube algorithm that the best way to do that is just click that effing like button, homie. It's right there. Just do that for me. And if you want to know every time I put out a video, just go ahead and click that subscribe button, and I think you got to click the bell so I can, be all up in your business every time I put out a video, letting y'all know, hey, new video out. But not that flamboyant, because I don't know where that came from. But thank you for watching. Check the links in the description. There you'll be led to my Twitch. I do that every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. EST. And a link to my Discord, which is popping off right now, mainly between my friends and I. But you know what? We're f***ing awesome. So go ahead and give us a visit and chat down. Also, my Twitter may be in the link, but my Instagram should be in the link. If you only follow one thing off of this page, follow my Instagram. Don't even follow my YouTube, follow my Instagram, fam. That's where it's at. I'm actually going to branch out from that Instagram too, because I think I'm feeling Instagram right now more than the other platforms. But thanks again for watching. I'm rambling now. Tell your mama you love her, okay? For reals. All right, bye.